All right, night one just wrapped up, and this game is already insane. Night zero happens, cast drops. I'm at work. I'm immediately terrified that I'm going to be the first person voted out of my team because obviously everybody is forming alliances right now, and I'm going to be screwed. Get home, look at the cast. Mike has already DM'd me. We have a connection from a previous game. We worked together, and even though I think he would have turned on me if he had the chance, he never got that chance. And right now, he's a connection that I can grab onto. I also know Matt from a previous game. We never got to work together, but it's another familiar face. And Alex, who's on the social team, if I get to emerge, he could be a good connection to have as well. I hopped in a call. DJ and Kyler were the only two people who were in there. DJ is a great guy. I liked him. I liked getting to know him. He seemed very strategically minded, and he seemed like somebody that I could work with. Kyler is Kyler. He has beef with me for some reason. I don't really know. Um, anyway, back to DJ. I guess he's so much more interesting than Kyler. DJ was somebody that I could definitely work with, but when more people hopped in the call, he kind of faded into the background, and that was a little bit scary. I think he's just not quite sure how to interact in a big group situation like this. Bryce also hopped in the call. He was on the strategist team, and he's definitely somebody that I can work with. He and I are kind of cut from the same cloth. Both of us carry a conversation with a wall if we had to, and honestly, talking to some of these people is like carrying a conversation with a wall. Even some of the people on the social team, which really shocked me. Some of them are really social, like their name implies. Kevin, in particular, he definitely was ready to spout information to anybody who would listen. I'm all ears. If you want to tell me everything that you know, please tell me everything. Um, he said he wanted to work with females, and that's not necessarily a bad thing to say in games. I'm kind of the same mind. I like to work with females, but in this game, there's only one. Sorry, and she's not on his tribe team, which means that she's got to go before the merge because she's going to be somebody that he wants to work with. And if he wants to do that and I want to do that, there's obviously more people who want to do that. I'm not willing to risk that. I'm not willing to risk her flipping, getting turned. Sorry. She's got to go. Um, Bryce and I, like I said, we hit it off pretty well. Both of us are very similar minded, and that's makes for good alliances. It's people who think the same. You can kind of rationalize where they're coming from, and that makes their decisions and their thought processes easier for you to follow. He approached me right off the bat saying that he wanted to work with me. And if we hadn't been in a call together, I would have been a little bit more worried about him saying that. But because we hit it off so well in that call, I feel pretty good about him saying that. I'm not. I don't think he was going around saying that to everybody. I think that was something that was specific to, if not just me, a few people. And I feel good about being one of those few people. Um, and Bryce and I both have a prior connection with Matt, so he also seemed like a clear choice to bring in to work with us. Um, so we made an alliance call, and that really got the ball rolling. This was the first real strategy talk that I got to have in this game, and that made me feel great. It made me feel like even though I might have missed out on the very beginning of the game, I'd still gotten in early enough to get myself into a good position to go deep into this game. So once we got into this call, we all kind of compared notes, and everything lined up for me, which was a really good sign. Everything they were telling me lined up exactly with what I had been thinking and what I had taken notes on. Um, Bryce and Matt are both a lot more active in this community than I am, and therefore they have a little bit of a better read on this cast than I do. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It makes me look like less of a threat because I'm a little bit less of a known quantity. And if I'm just playing a loyal game, especially in the pre-merge, that makes me less of a target when we get to the merge. We all agreed that we wanted to work with Sorry, but unfortunately, because everybody wants to work with Sari, she's got to go. But we're not heartless enough to make her the first boot. She's the only female on this cast. She will not be the first boot from our team. Basically, no matter what happens, there is no scenario that I can see her going home first. Mike and Kyler were both kind of non-factors to me at this point once I had jumped into this alliance. I really wanted to solidify this 3 and make sure that I had something that could take me deep into this game. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I'm convinced that no matter what, I can get Mike to vote with me for this first vote if I need him to. I don't think he's really talked to anyone else, and that makes me think that he'll jump at the opportunity to vote with me should I need him as a number. We all kind of agreed between Bryce, myself, and Matt that the social team was kind of a dumpster fire of a group. They can't really seem to get their crap together, and that bodes well for me. I really like that. That makes me think that going into a merge, it'll be really easy to flip one of them over, or possibly 2 of them, and make a run deep into this game. What else? Oh, only thing that we haven't discussed so far in this alliance chat is DJ. My first impression of DJ was overwhelmingly positive. I liked him. He was kind. He was insightful. He was pleasant. I knew I wanted to work with him. And that made it sort of hard when Bryce, Matt, and myself included, make no mistake about it, I agreed to this. We all agreed DJ needed to be the first boot because he is quiet. He is observing everyone, and he is not a stupid person. He is well aware of what is happening in this game, and that terrifies me because if he's not talking to me, that's scary. If he knows what's going on, that means that he's talking to someone else, most likely, and that worries me a lot. In a one-on-one setting, he was really good, but I didn't get to have a one-on-one setting with him before this alliance chat happened, and unfortunately, everybody came to the same conclusion. So at the end of night 0, we had a set boot list. DJ was the first boot, Sari was the second boot, and either Kyler or Mike was the third boot, depending on what the social team had done. I know that Matt and Bryce had both said that Kyler and Mac had beef from a previous game. So if Mac had made the merge, then it might have been a good idea to bring Kyler along because that would ensure that Kyler would stick with us. I'm still not convinced that would happen. Kyler is erratic. He is like a pinball just bouncing around, and it scares the crap out of me because there is no stability there. There is no future there. There is only questions, and I'm not here for questions. I'm here for certainty, or as close to certainty as I can get, and there is nothing certain about Kyler or his game. Moving on, day 1 was kind of uneventful. I slept through most of it. Sorry, production. Early in night 1, I met a few more of the cast members, a couple more of the social people. I met Mac, who I had previously had no interaction with. He was interesting, I guess. He was a lot. He was at least social, which is more than can be said for a couple of the social people who I literally had to drag answers to questions out of. Bryce told me and Matt in our Alliance DM that he had talked to DJ privately, which was, we had all agreed the night before that he was going to do. And he touched base that he hadn't really gotten any information out of DJ, which didn't really surprise me because nobody, except for apparently Bryce, Matt, and myself, was really solidifying anything or being willing to throw out a name early game. DJ, also during day 1, he had asked me for a private call. So on night 1, I finally got into that call with him. And he basically confirmed everything Bryce had already told me about their conversation earlier that day. I was able to get DJ to throw out both Mike and Kyler's name, which I think was really good for me. And that was the original mission of this call. We wanted to, the 3 of us, Matt, Bryce, and myself, figured that if we could get a name thrown out, then we could pin that other person um, against whoever had thrown out their name, which, I mean, that's just basic strategy. That's what we're here to do. When I got off the call with DJ, I asked Matt and Bryce to jump in a private call to end the night with me. That was how we had ended the previous night, and I like to set consistency with my alliances. When people see that you're consistent, they see that you're somebody that can be worked with, you're somebody that can be trusted, and it's not, it doesn't, sorry, my phone. Woo, okay. When you set consistency in the way that you operate within your alliance, it allows people to work with you and trust you because not only are you consistent in voting with them, but you're consistent in everything you do, and it just reinforces that you're the best option for them to move forward with. So when I got in that call with them, I recapped everything that DJ had told me, and at the end, I threw out that DJ was incredibly paranoid, which is something that Bryce had also confirmed, and that if we were to keep him instead of making him the first boot, and we were to loop him in on this plan, he would be a tight 4. He would latch on to this 3, and he would run with us to the end because he didn't think he had any other option. He had every right to be paranoid. He should have been paranoid. He was going to be the first boot. Let's be very clear. We solidified that. He was going to be the first boot. And that doesn't work for me. I think DJ is going to be the pair that I need to combat the Brat pair. That should be their name. Bryce and Matt. They're an obvious power couple in this game, I think. And I think Bryce and I are too. But in my head, that doesn't matter because I think, call me paranoid, but I think Bryce would always be more loyal to Matt than he would be to me. They have more of a history together. Even though I think Bryce and I would be better allies in a vacuum, I think Bryce and I are better allies than Bryce and Matt are. I still think in this game, Bryce would be more loyal to Matt than to me. And I think DJ would be more loyal to me than he would be to either one of those two because I think he thinks exactly what I think about those two. So after throwing this out, we had a little discussion, and Mike's your first boot. Surprise, surprise. Yeah. DJ is at least active. He wants it. And he may not know that was what convinced Bryce. Or at least maybe that's not what convinced Bryce, but I think it played a part in convincing Bryce to keep him because Bryce wants to keep people who want to play the game. And DJ at least showed a desire to play this game where honestly Mike has been kind of missing in action. Sari's been missing in action. And again, Kyler is Kyler. So my mission for day 2 now becomes to solidify this pair with DJ because I think the groundwork is there. I think that our private call last night, I gave enough information that when Matt talks to him today, he is going to see that everything I'm saying is truthful. And if I can get him in a private call before this first cycle and be the one to reinforce that Mike's the first boot and that the 4 of us, myself, Bryce, Matt, and DJ, are going to run this thing to the merge and to the end, I think DJ is going to be the guy who allows me to flip on Bryce and Matt at the end when I need to secure a win. Because I don't think Bryce or Matt takes me to the end. It might come down, when it comes down to a final 3 in this game, it's not a jury vote situation. It's all about steps, but I think the 3 of us would probably be close in steps at that point. And I think that they would take each other to the end over me if it came down to a random luck-based thing. And I'm not willing to risk that. There's no point in risking that if I can do work right now and set myself up to be in a better position later in the game. And DJ is the person that allows me to do that. I know he's also been talking to some of these social people. He hangs out in these calls and he doesn't really say much, but when people drop out, he'll talk to you if you're like one on one with him there. So I think he's like subtly building some bonds with the people on the social team who could be really good numbers for us if we get into a merge situation. Um, so now, just a little bit in terms of like my general strategy moving into this game. Um, Everything I do has a purpose behind it. Everything I do has a purpose behind it. I rename one-on-one DM chats with people to be whoever I'm talking to / Ryan, and it's always their name first every time. It doesn't matter if my name comes first alphabetically, and that sometimes bothers my OCD, but it's worth it for the subtle benefit of making people think that I think of them as a complete pair. I'm not putting myself first. I never put myself first. It's always the group first because that's what people want to work with. Whenever I talk strategy, I never use the word I always say we or us to make my alliance think that I'm thinking about their benefit instead of just my own. When I entered the private call with Matt and Bryce at the end of night one, I said something along the lines of, it's nice to be in a call where I don't have to watch what I say. That's not true. I obviously have to watch what I say, but I don't want them to think I'm watching what I'm saying. I want them to think that I can be completely honest with them. And they might know that I'm not being completely honest with them, but at least saying it subtly reinforces that belief that I am the correct alliance person to move forward with. During the first cycle, I'm probably going to be taking threes or sticking with the pack, whatever the pack decides to do. I don't necessarily want to be in the middle. I'm not really going for the double up. I'd really like it to either not be claimed or be destroyed. It honestly just puts a target on me that I don't want any part of. If I did end up being the person in the middle 2 consecutive times in a row, I would definitely destroy it. I don't want that target on my back because I think especially come merge, that's going to be terrifying, especially because that's the only time you can use it. And the reason I want to take threes is because I feel like that is the that is the easiest way to look stable. I've talked a lot about consistency and stability. That is what I value in an alliance partner, and that is what I think should be valued in an alliance partner, and I want people to think that is what I am. And for the most part, especially in the early game, that's exactly what I am. I'm a great early game alliance partner, but once it gets down to the nitty-gritty, the final 5, the final 6, it's every man for themselves. Everybody's got to be looking out for their own best interests, and if you moving forward is in my best interest, that's probably great for you. But if you moving forward is not in my best interest, then you got to get out of my game. These subtle maneuvers are how I set myself up for the end game. All these little things, the little groundwork that you lay in the first few days, those are what give you the momentum to get to the end. It's all about gathering resources while you have the opportunity, because this is the time that they're up for grabs. This is when you have to be taking what's available to you and using it however you can. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So heading into this first cycle, I think I'm positioned well to take a majority deep into this game. Everything is going to depend on how this first cycle plays out for both teams. So we'll just have to wait and see.